So what I would like is for all of us to understand what the tax law allows in terms of donating work to a charitable fundraiser so that we're all on the same page, so that you know that you don't get any tax deduction before you donate work. And you do it out of the goodness of your own heart, for sure, but that you don't do it expecting a tax deduction. Welcome to the Sunlight Podcast. In this show, we're talking about taxes, money, and careers for self-employed people who have a big vision for changing the world with their work. I'm your host, Hannah Cole, artist, tax pro, and the founder of Sunlight Tax. If you're a creative or soul-centered entrepreneur or wellness practitioner who wants to grow your business sustainably, manage your taxes, and build a stash of fuck you money so you can control your time and have a bigger impact with your work, you are in the right place. Hello. Welcome. I'm so happy to be with you today. As the weather turns colder, as we're starting to approach the holiday season, I wanted to bring you an episode about a topic that comes up from time to time, especially around the season of charitable giving. If you are an artist, a craftsperson, even a business person who has ever been asked to donate some of your work to a charitable event, to a charitable fundraiser, I want to talk to you about what that means for your taxes. The short answer is it kind of sucks for you. There's basically nothing that you get. And I want to also address this to the arts organizations, the charitable organizations, the fundraisers who may, in all innocence, not know the tax rules and be accidentally promising something to their contributors that is not real and is not true. So what I would like is for all of us to understand what the tax law allows in terms of donating work to a charitable fundraiser so that we're all on the same page, so that you know that you don't get any tax deduction before you donate work. And you do it out of the goodness of your own heart, for sure, but that you don't do it expecting a tax deduction. And also, I'm calling upon the nonprofits doing that good work to not dirty your name by, offering a tax deduction that isn't real, that doesn't actually exist. For sure, I want you to call upon the great work that you do. Artists, business people, we are generous. We are happy to help causes that we believe in. But let's all do it with the tax law knowledge that we need and not based on false promises. So what I'm going to do today is read you an article that I wrote actually in 2018. It appeared originally in the arts blog Hyperallergic, where I'm still writing articles on occasion. So I want to read this article to you that originally appeared in Hyperallergic. Rules have not changed since then. They're exactly the same. So the information is all still relevant. So I'm going to read you this article about charitable contributions for artists. Here goes. The article's title is, No, You Can't Get a Tax Deduction for Artwork You Donate to Charity. I want to address a long-standing practice regarding charitable giving in the art world that needs to end. Sidebar, this wasn't in the article, but this actually involves donating any work that you make when you are the maker of the work and you donate it. So you don't need to be an artist for this to be relevant to you, but I did write it originally to artists. Okay, back to the article. I've written on this topic before for Art F City, but the practice continues in the art world and it bears revisiting. This practice usually begins with a conversation. Director of Nonprofit X asks artist Y to donate an artwork for an upcoming fundraiser, or sometimes it's a for-profit organization soliciting artwork for a charity fundraiser. Artist Y is hesitant. He's been asked for work from 5 different organizations in the last month. The arts organization director makes a vague mention of tax deductions, and so the artist agrees to donate a small painting. A few months after the benefit, the artist opens a letter from the organization saying thanks for the donated work and listing its sales price. With this seemingly official letter in hand, it's easy for the artist to conclude that they can deduct that sales price on their taxes. But this is incorrect. Here's why. When an artist makes work, the IRS considers that work to be a self-created asset. The artist can take a deduction only for the cost of materials, not the labor. But for most artists, the value of the work derives mainly from the labor that they put into it. Picture a piece by artist L. Anatsui, whose shimmering chainmail-like tapestries are painstakingly stitched together out of bottle caps. The materials by themselves are worthless. It's the labor that turns them into art. Despite that, under the current tax code, if L. Anatsui used 30,000 found objects plus $10 of fasteners and spent 1,000 hours of labor creating a piece, he'd get to deduct just $10 for donating that piece. It gets worse. If you're a professional artist, as opposed to a hobbyist, you operate an arts business. This means that on the same tax form where you list your art income, that's your Schedule C, you also get to list your expenses. This is great because it means you're only paying taxes on your profit, not on your total revenue. So if you're like most artists, you already deduct all your materials on your Schedule C. The IRS does not allow double dipping. However, if you've deducted the materials once as an art expense on your tax return, you may not then deduct them again as a charitable expense. In other words, before you have ever donated the piece, you already had all the deduction you were ever going to get for it. When you donate work to the charity, you may help an organization do good work. You may get the warm fuzzies. You may get a mention on the brochure, but you do not get any tax deduction. I'm both an artist and an accountant, so I've been on both sides of this issue. I've donated lots of artwork to art benefits, and I also do the taxes of many artists who donate artwork and often feel cheated when they learn that their donation gives them no benefit on their taxes, despite what felt like a promise or at least a suggestion from the organization to which they donated. Nonprofits, I feel for you. You need funds, and there are changes in the tax law from 2018 that may have seriously hurt your bottom line. But can we all agree to end the practice of soliciting artwork with promises or even suggestions of tax deductions? It's unfair and misleading. And we know you're better than that. Artists tend to be generous and want to help you do good. So I'm calling on you to keep your solicitations focused on your good work and how the artist donation will help you do more of it. And that's the end of my article, folks. So I know that's not the news you wanted to hear about charitable contributions and donating your work to good causes, but it's the truth. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to tell you what the actual law says and how we can keep on the good side of it. I will give a couple tips here because I have come to learn these myself over time. A couple things I advise artists when you are feeling particularly by charities soliciting donations of artwork for you. A couple of things I think you should keep in mind. One, you can create a budget for yourself of how much artwork you will donate each year. I know that a lot of us want to be really generous, but we don't want to feel exploited. So I recommend creating a budget, right? A donation budget. Whatever feels like a, generous but reasonable thing that is amount that is not going to put you out, right? So maybe for you, that's going to be 5 drawings a year. That's my donation limit. And once you've donated that 5th drawing, you're done for the year. And you can say to the charity, I've already hit my donation budget for the year. You can ask me again next year, right? Do it that way. This way you can be generous without feeling exploited. Another thing that I recommend is be really upfront with the organization that there is no tax deduction for you. There is no tax benefit for you donating. And so I recommend, especially because artists can be asked a lot for this and never get paid for our work, right? Is make sure that the organization shares a percentage of sales with you. I think that is the ethical thing to do. That is my personal opinion. Artists are underpaid and unpaid far too much. And to be asked to lean on their generosity more and give them zero financial benefit when they are literally giving you a financial benefit, I just think is not fair. I don't think it's frankly even ethical. So I really appreciate when there are fundraisers where they give a percentage to the artist. Now, a lot of times in these kind of fundraisers, the artist can check a box that says, they'd like to donate their percentage back to the organization. That way, if the artist wants to give the full sales cost to the organization, they can, right? But I really appreciate it. And I will always happily donate to an organization that recognizes the incredible amount of sacrifice and frankly underpayment that artists suffer from and gives money to the artist upon the sale of the work. And lastly, another thing you can do if it's an organization that is not giving money to the artist, although I think they should, is make sure that that organization is going to provide some kind of tangible benefit to you, the artist. Often this can be in the form of really good publicity. Now, listen, organizations are all going to tell you they give you publicity, right? Not all publicity is worth much. And so you want to really check out last year's programming and see, did they highlight the artist? Did they have a big social media presence? Were they giving like a dedicated post to each artist who donated work? Are you getting real valuable airtime put in front of a lot of important collectors? That could be something really valuable to you. That could make it worth your while, despite the lack of charitable deduction. Other things could be other kinds of support, right? Sometimes they might give you access to their facilities. If you were a weaver, a printer who wanted to use their facilities, you might get access. There could be other benefits that would tangibly be helpful to you that organization might provide when you donate work, but I would talk about it up front. And if you want to make me the bad guy and send anyone who's asking for donated work and holding out the promise or the suggestion of a charitable deduction for you, I want you to send them to this podcast episode right here and let them know that, in fact, you do not get any deduction whatsoever, like every other artist. All right. Thanks so much for listening today. Nonprofits, go out there and keep doing your good work. And just remember, let's not get exploitative of artists and craftspeople as we try to help the world. Let's really be ethical in the full with everybody that we work with, as we do. It is certainly my job and my passion to support the creative people who are often providing the artwork that funds those charitable fundraisers. And I think they're a wonderful thing. I just want the organizations to be really, really conscientious about how they solicit those donations. Make sure that you're doing it ethically, and make sure that you acknowledge and highlight and give benefit to the artists who are making that sacrifice for you. All right. Thanks so much for listening today, everybody. Feel free to share this episode with a friend who needs to hear it. And I will see you on the next week. Bye. Thank you for listening. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe, leave a review. It really helps, and share it with a friend. I'm so grateful. This podcast is for education and entertainment only. Nothing in this episode should be taken as individual tax or financial advice. You can find all the tools, books, and links we reference at sunlighttax.com/podcast.